Hi there, guys. Um, well, first let me explain why I'm doing videos in my bed. um, as those of you who watch my channel know, I moved, and so it's kind of like a starting over type thing. I don't have any furniture, so I'm starting over. I left a lot of stuff that I had, gave some away, and so forth. And so, anyway, at the end of the day, this is why I'm in my bed doing videos. So, but today, um, I wanted to make this video. Um, it's kind of a little bit of a few things I wanted to talk about anyway, but it all really coincides with today, you know. There's basically nothing new under the sun, you know. Um, I know everybody is not necessarily, Christian or believe in the Bible or what have you, and this is not at all anything to make people believe in the Bible, but at the end of the day, most of us in our culture, I mean, America is a Christian nation. And most of us growing up, especially in Black culture, we we were Christians growing up, whether we veered off from that or whatever or not. And so I want to talk from the perspective of a few Bible characters that I know that you know. And so, because there were many more that I could have used, but I wanted to use these few examples because I know that you know them and they are popular. And um, now the first one I want to talk about is Adam because Adam started it off. He started it off. And all of these stories, I don't want to go into to doing biblical history, but we understand that there's much more to the Bible. We understand that whether we believe in it or not, whether it's fantasy, whether it's made up stories, about whatever we believe about it. I don't really want to go off into that. Um, but there are characters, there are events and things that happened um, that you want to just say was taken out of the Bible. Various books, many books um, that was supposed to be in the Bible that they have through the years taken out. They've rewritten, they have reworded, they have all of this. And so we have a lot of different stories and we hear a lot of different things um, that may not just be in the Bible. You have to go to other books. Um, and there are many other biblical books and books that you can study. Um, anyway, I'm not going to get so much into that either, but I'm getting into it because I want to bring up Lilith. Now, for those of you, I've talked about Lilith before. As a matter of fact, I did a whole video on Lilith. Um, I happen to like Lilith. Which is why I did a whole video on her. Um, because I happen to think Lilith got a bad rap. I really do. Um, just to give a little biblical background, whether you guys, like I say, believe it or not, or know the story or not, I would suggest you go and look up Lilith. Um, look up the story there, and there's other variations of the story of Lilith. Um, I think I've read all of them, but it at the end of the day, it tells you who she is, tells you about her, her story, and the whole thing. And it's very fascinating. Like it really, really is. I encourage that because of the fact that what I've learned is that it helps you get a better and a broader perspective on the Bible, on religion. I mean, like it, and not just Lilith stories. I'm talking about even other um, stories that have been taken out, or that are not just in the regular Bible. And that is only if you um, feel a need to do that. That's only if you feel led to do that, and want to enrich your studies. So, getting to the topic today, I want to bring about and show how um, this has been going on from the beginning, and it started with Adam. And like I said, there's a couple, two or three people in the Bible that I want to bring out, where you will absolutely see the men who are given the role of leadership, if we're going to take that route. And they absolutely either got subdued by a woman, or absolutely gave their authority and power over to a woman, and at the end of the day, though, the woman got vilified. And that's what we see going on today, especially with Black women. We basically, at the end of the day, we're hearing that the Black women, because of whatever they say, has basically taken the Black man's power, and he's basically powerless, to the fact that he has to now go to other countries and whatever, and to get women who are sweet, soft, submissive, and obedient, you know. So, but I want to show, as I said, that this stuff, it's been going on since biblical days. Now, let's get started with Lilith. Lilith was Adam's first wife, what the story tells us. Now, Lilith, um, as I say, she, things get turned around so much, and she gets such a bad rap. Outside of the bad rap, let's just look at her as the book describes her and talks about her. Um, it basically, the book basically talks about she being Adam's first wife, and she not wanting to basically submit and be under him. Uh, she goes from the standpoint that when God gave whatever commands, or whatever, he did not tell Adam, well, you're the leader, you're in charge. He gave the instructions and everything to both of them. And so that really, if we just look at the story, that is really the perspective that Lilith comes from. She comes from the perspective that we're equal, like we were made together, and the whole thing. This whole thing about putting Adam to sleep and taking the woman from the rib and all that is when Eve came along. Um, but when Lilith was around, they were made together. Um, it's a little bit more to the story, once you go and look at it, and or even go back to my video when I talked about Lilith. I think I talked about, I think I actually read the story. And so, but Lilith wanted equality. I guess people today would probably say, men today would probably say that she was a feminist. She was the first feminist. She rose up against the man, and she didn't want to follow orders, and she didn't want to be underneath him. She didn't want him to lead or whatever. But as I said, if we go into the time of when it was Adam and Lilith, it was no he the head, you got to be subject to your husband and all that. All of that came after the fall. And all of that came when Eve was here. Before that, Adam and Lilith were equal. And so ultimately, is really no way around it. Adam wanted Lilith to submit. Now, I think a lot of the discrepancy when they start talking about Lilith and Adam is the fact that from men's telling it, or the way that they tell it, that is what Lilith was supposed to be doing, is following Adam's lead and, submitting to Adam and the whole thing. And none of that was in there. None of that was in there. They were together. They were partners. Like everything was done together. But Adam, because of his ego, took pretty much the reins, named all the animals, did all the building. I think he gave her like he assigned to her like, oh well, you can do the house, and you can go over here and do this, but I'm gonna go over here and do this, and and so the first problem that they had was with him naming all the animals. She was upset because she was like, well, like, you ain't leave me nothing to name. Like, I couldn't have no part in it. And that was one of the first discrepancies, is the fact that he was just doing stuff without her. Then when the sex thing came, that is when um it was that he wanted to be on top and wanted her to lay up under him. And Lilith was just like, yeah, no, I'm not laying up under you. I'm not submitting to you like that. Like, we're partners. Like, I don't know how they was going to do it or whatever, but whatever it was, Lilith was like, yeah, no, you're not going to dominate me like that and make me be the submissive one, because that is initially what Adam was doing. Um, so at the end of the day, just to sum it all up, Lilith was too bold for him. He didn't want partnership. And that is what Lilith wanted. Lilith wasn't trying to dominate him. Lilith wasn't trying to take the lead. Like they try to spin the narrative and all that. She wasn't no rebellious woman. And so because she didn't submit to Adam, then, she got turned into a demon woman. That's not how that goes. But that's the perspective that they like to try to tell and twist it. And this is why I say go read it for yourself, so that you can get a clear perspective. You can get your own perspective, and you can actually see what happened. So that didn't work out. Lilith was like, no, we're not doing that. So Adam said, basically, I need me another woman. You know what I'm saying? And so this time, God took a woman from himself to be like him, more so like him, since he felt like Lilith was too um wanted to be partners and all this, so um there was a woman taken and made from him. Maybe she would have more and be more obedient to the things that he actually wanted. So God allowed that. And so at the end of the day, you got Eve. Eve was quiet, submissive, or whatever. I guess she was, more so what he was asking for, what he what Lilith wouldn't do. And but really the submissive part, like I said, comes in after the fall. Then she became subject to her husband, you know. But she still was a different type of woman, which is what Adam said he wanted. So he couldn't handle Lilith being equal. So he wanted someone, I guess, like I said, to submit to him so that he got Eve. And um, I want to show y'all something in that. So he couldn't handle the strong woman. He couldn't handle a partner. So he got someone to be more submissive or whatever. But at the end of the day, he couldn't handle either one of them. And this is what we see going on here today. Men don't want a woman that's equal, to say that, they're, oh, she too strong, she too whatever. So, okay, so they don't want that. So give me a nice little soft, sweet, submissive, whatever. He couldn't handle that either. Why do I say he couldn't handle that? I say that he couldn't handle that because Eve still went off and did what she wanted to do. And he basically blamed her for it when accountability came into play, which we see all day, every day on social media right now. No accountability and blaming the woman. Well, if she's soft, sweet, and submissive and, listens to you and whatever, how come you couldn't handle her either? Like, and so this is what I see. And I'm gonna move on. Um, so basically, at the end of the day, Adam couldn't handle either woman. That's just it. Um, the next one I wanted to bring out, um, I'm gonna skip to Samson and Delilah because I want to save Jezebel for last because I feel like Jezebel got a bad rap too. I really do. Um, Samson and Delilah, we know that story. That story was basically the way it is told is that Delilah tricked this big old strong man of God. They do talk about her being a foreign woman and things like that. And, she caused him to worship all these other um, foreign gods of hers and so forth. Because, like I say, she's from a different land. And so um, eventually her men, the people from her land or whatever, came and basically subdued Samson. Uh, and at the end of the day, it was basically her fault because she called them. You know what I'm saying? And so, and we know the story. We know eventually Samson still got the victory and, and he destroyed the enemies and all that. So we got that. But let's go back. Now, when we go back to the beginning of that story, first of all, we see just plain and simple, Samson was a player. Samson, like many women, Bible says that, and he liked many foreign women. So he wasn't pursuing the women in his land. Like he wasn't trying to get a nice little soft, sweet a girl from Israel or whatever. Or that was from God's chosen people. He liked foreign women. He liked strange flesh, you know? And so that was his weakness. And that is the way, I'm sorry that my camera's moving a lot, guys. That is the way that the Bible really recites that, is that he liked foreign women and he had a lot of them. And so once again, look at the correlation. We're seeing the same thing. A man who don't want his own women, but he wants women from, he wants foreign women. He likes different kind of women. I don't know what was wrong with the women. of his time in his own women. I don't know what was wrong with him. I don't know what his um discrepancy was with them, but he liked foreign women. So I want to bring about the fact that he is a man of God, let's just say. And he knows that God always forbade them going outside and getting foreign women and things like that because of the fact that it would make you serve strange gods and things like they don't do what we do. This is what we're over here doing. We're here, God's chosen people, and it's known throughout the Bible that that is how that was. These were God's chosen people. You have rules to follow. You have a way of life to follow. You're supposed to be holy. You're supposed to be set apart. Okay? And so he's not the first man that did that. But at the end of the day, you can't tell me that Samson didn't know what these other women were into. Obviously, he liked it. Whatever it was they were doing, however different, strange, whatever other gods out there, he didn't get tricked into it. It said that he had a weakness for this. So he had a lust problem, first of all, and he was a bit disobedient. Because if you know what your God and your people stand for, but you're purposely going out, and I'm gonna tell you something about a weakness in the flesh and things like that. Yeah, we may all have them because we're human. But the only way your flesh can really just at the end of the day overtake you is because you're dwelling on something. You're into it, you're looking at it, you're dreaming about it, you're basically lusting after it. And so he didn't stop himself. He never asked that I saw in the Bible. Uh, and I've studied the Bible quite a bit for many years. Not getting into that, but I never saw anywhere where Samson asked for that spirit of lust or strange flesh to be taken from him. I never saw that. He went on with it, and he got Delilah. Okay, and so you already putting yourself at a disadvantage by even getting her. And so as the story goes, she tricked him, as they say, into telling her where his strength came from. Um, that was a vow, uh, that it wasn't just Samson about the not cutting the hair and everything. There's other examples of that in the Bible. Was it the Nazarene? It was the Nazarite vow or something like that. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it, but I'm believing it may have been the Nazarite vow of never cutting the hair and the whole thing. And so, but anyway, um, we know what happened in that story. Okay. And with that being the case, like I say, the way the story is told is that Delilah tricked him, and she got those men to come up on him and you know subdue him, and they blinded him, and they took him to their land and everything. And basically, he was just he was made um, to be a laughing stock, you know. And my thing is that Samson wouldn't have even been in that position if he had not had a lust for strange flesh. But like I say, the way that the story is told is Delilah's fault. So now let's go on to, and that's two examples. I'm gonna go on to I want to go on to Jezebel. Now, I said I was going to do a whole thing on Jezebel, just like I did on Lilith, because once again, Jezebel was who she was. I'm not saying that I side necessarily with Jezebel, but Jezebel was who she was. Like I mean, the Bible describes her personality. She was a strong, independent, foreign woman. Because once again, Ahab went and got a strange woman. Jezebel was not a Hebrew woman or whatever it is. Like she wasn't of God. She was from a different land. She served different gods and all that, Baal included, who was one of the worst and biggest opposing gods. All of them were bad. I mean, Bible say don't worship any of them. But Baal, we heard was, and still here today, that Baal was one of the biggest ones. And so um, that's who she worshiped. And she worshiped all these other gods. And yeah, she brought them into the house and she brought them with her and so forth. And so once again, I have to say, you can't tell me that Ahab didn't know who Jezebel was and what she was about when he went and got her. So um Jezebel's crime was, of course, she was killing the prophets of God and so forth, which, like, I don't even understand how Jezebel got to do all of the stuff that she got to do unless Ahab was a very weak man. That's what I see. Just like Adam, a very weak man. Samson, weak of the flesh. And so, how did she get from under his leadership so far that she killing the prophets of God? Like those. I mean, how do you let her get that far? Like you're bringing her into your land, into your culture, into your people, into all of this. Like how did she get that far off with you being the man and the leader and the head? Like how? And so, um, yeah, he knew how she was. He knew how she was because when he had his beef with Elijah, when he had that beef with Elijah, I believe it's in First Kings 19 where it gives that account, and it tells you that Ahab went to Jezebel and told Jezebel blah 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 blah. Basically, he went tattling like a kid because he knew his wife. He knew what she would do. He knew she was capable. I mean, he knew all of this. He's the one that went and told Jezebel all of this stuff. And so, like I say, I don't necessarily have any, affinity for Jezebel or whatever like that. Um, but she was who she was. That's what I'm saying. Like she was who she was, and he knew who she was. He knew what she would do when he went and told her what happened. That's some real feminine stuff, if you ask me. That's not male leadership, if you ask me. But who got who gets the fall in that story? You never hear anything really about Ahab and all of this stuff. All you hear about is, oh, she was horrible, she was wicked, and so bad women today, women who are strong and do all of this, I guess usurping authority over their husbands, but get called Jezebel. Well, at the end of the day, like I say, that stuff may or may not would have happened if Ahab had been a better leader. Ahab, like I say, went and told Jezebel what happened with him. Which, I mean, what do you think he thought was gonna happen? Like I keep saying, he knew her. And so, like I say, but at the story goes that Jezebel is basically the bad one. She's the wicked one. She's the whatever. But as we see in this culture, men get to slide. Men get like you so many times you don't even hear the man's part. And that's the same thing, like I said, what's going on today. Women get the blame and men get to slide. You don't even bring up, you don't even hear about the stuff that Ahab did. Ahab wasn't no saint. Samson wasn't no saint. Now, we understand when we take it from a biblical perspective that, God loves the unlovable. Like God loves those who sinned against him and who sinned more than once against him. You know, um, he still had a heart for them. It shows his mercy and forgiveness. But at the end of the day, what I wanted to bring about was I wanted to show these examples of the same thing that we see today, men blaming women, and it started off with Adam. The fact that, you know, we're in a time where, we see all these men talking about strong women and, women who are too masculine and women who don't want to let them lead and all that. Okay. I look at that as Lilith and Adam. Okay. I want somebody soft, sweet, submissive. Okay. Well, there's your Eve. You got Eve. You still let Eve get up and go off and do something she wasn't supposed to be doing. And then instead of taking accountability for it, instead of just manning up and saying, yeah, God, I just got to take that L because, yeah, she was under my leadership. And this is what happened. But no, he blamed her. The woman you gave this to me, and I just ate it. Didn't have to, but I just ate it. She gave it to me. I just ate it. Oh, okay. What do we usually do to our children, especially you moms? What do you do to your children when they done something crazy at school that they know they shouldn't have done? And oh well, my friend, just threw a rock and hit them people's house, and he gave me a rock, so I threw a boy. Like seriously, you finna get beat and grounded. Like that don't even fly today. And this is the story of how it happened with Adam and Eve. And who got the fall for the sin of the world? The woman. The woman. Nobody talks about Adam's poor leadership. Nobody talks about how Adam had two women and couldn't handle now one of them. Nobody talks about Adam not taking accountability. Nobody talks about any of that, but we talk about the woman being rebellious. We talk about Eve basically being the fall of man, the fall of sin of the whole world fell on Eve because she ate an apple. She was disobedient. But nobody, as I said, talks about why didn't Adam or why wasn't it brought out that Adam asked for Eve? He asked for that certain kind of woman because Lilith was too strong. Lilith was rebellious. Lilith flew off and she left me and she turned into a demon. So now I need another wife, and I need somebody that's more like me, somebody taken from me that is going to understand me and have my ideals and my goals and my heart. Okay. And he got that, and he couldn't handle her. He couldn't handle her. He couldn't take accountability for what he allowed to happen. Eve didn't do that by herself. How do you do? And that's why I say, let's go back to if you're a parent. Let's go back to if you're a parent. You're a parent. How do you not? How does your child not only not take responsibility for something he did, but then blame his friends for it or blame his brothers and sisters for it? Like complete and utter straight disobedience to what the mom or the dad told them to do. And then they go and blame somebody else for it. We don't let that fly. We know we don't let that fly. We don't let it fly. And ultimately, yeah, they both got punished, in different ways. They both got punished. But my point is the fact that the way the story is told, and even some of these religions, some of the especially male dominated religions, are the ones that put the blame on Eve and on the woman, and how woman is wicked and women are temptresses and women, they seduce men and blah blah blah. And that goes back to Delilah being a seductress, and she just tricked him and blah blah blah. And that really wasn't the case. First of all, anything that Delilah did was coming off of Samson's already weakness in his flesh for foreign women. That was already the thing. So yeah, it's easy. Yeah, it's easy to tempt him. Yeah, it's easy to whatever, to get him to do whatever, because he already weak for her. You gonna blame her for being able to take advantage of, like I said before, he had the ability to ask God to take that spirit from him. And we know God would have done it. We know that. First of all, God probably would have told him, well, you probably wouldn't have that if you stick with your own women. So quit going over there to those women. Those women are doing certain things. Those women live in a certain type of way that is more than likely going to cause you to be more weak and lustful for them. They're probably wearing makeup and so forth. They're probably doing all of the things that the book of Enoch talks about. Uh, with the makeup and they're probably I'm sure they weren't dressing holy. I'm sure they wasn't covering their heads and all that. They weren't holy women. They were worldly women, because they wasn't following God. Like they wasn't under that. They didn't have to live by that. So of course they're probably very beautiful and seductive and all of these kind of things. And when you go out after that, then you get to blame the woman for your weakness when you really shouldn't be with her anyway. There's a correlation, and I hope you guys can see the correlation. It's the same thing that is going on today. Same thing that is going on today. You have men blaming women for seducing them. You have men blaming women for doing this and doing that. And, oh, you wear too much makeup. You wear da 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 da. But y'all like that. Y'all like it's proven time and time again. You hear these men who are just really, in my opinion, just making arguments about nothing just to stay relevant, which is going to be another video I make. And getting tempted, by women that are seducing them, and that are wearing weave, that are twerking, that are all like, the correlation is the same. If you want a natural woman, if you want a woman with no makeup, you want a wholly pure woman, you don't want no woman on social media twerking, you want her to be basically good, godly, and holy, and all of this kind of stuff. Okay. Well, stop. Y'all like those other kind of women. Because you say you want that, you'll take her, you'll marry her. She'll be at home in the house, but y'all cheating with her. It's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. So anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you see the correlation that I am trying to bring about. There's I see it clear as day. It's all the same, and these are just three examples that I used. But it's all still going on today. You know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, please. Hit the subscribe button, please. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you get it. Let me know if you oppose. If you don't get it, if you let me know where your head is, where your mind is. But you guys, thank you, and until the next video. See you next time.